Yes, I know. It came as a big shock to me too. I'm not perfect. Hey, welcome to another video. In the last video, I talked about the Voigtlander Apo lens, the 50mm f2, and I said that that, along with the 35mm f2, had been discontinued, which is true. Now, I looked at some of my statistics and I had some dislikes on the video, and sometimes you wonder why you get the dislikes. And it's not because people aren't allowed to have their opinion and say, well, I didn't like the video, but sometimes you wonder why they did it. And the reason why I want to know sometimes is just because if I made a mistake, then I'd like to know why, so I can improve on it. And when I started thinking about that video, I thought that I said it was discontinued, and it was, but I didn't specify that I think it's only the Z-mount version of it that had been discontinued. So I thought, well, is it possible I got a couple of dislikes because I wasn't more specific? And if that's the case, well then, there you go. As far as I know, it's only the Z-mount. And they may bring it back with a different coating. Who knows? But still has been discontinued. Now, last I looked, B&H still had a couple copies of it. They were selling it at full retail price. I don't think Camera Quest had any more of them. But it is a wonderful lens. I took it out a couple of days ago to the Science Museum with my grandkids. And it was indoors and it was low light. And you have kids that are moving around. And it's not the easiest with a manual focus lens. And I knew that going in. I knew my hit rate would be much better if I took the Nikon 50 autofocus or even the 85 autofocus. But I specifically took that Voigtlander because I wanted to practice. I wanted to practice in low light with a manual focus lens with kids that are moving around. And no, my hit rate was not all that great, but I'm shooting at 1/30th of a second, 1/60th of a second, even at ISO 1000, and shooting it wide open at f2. And when you get them with that lens, even at ISO 1000 in low light, the colors you get, the saturation, the contrast you can get when you convert it to black and white, the skin tones are just amazing. It's such a beautiful lens. It really is. All right, so I wanted to get that out of the way. This is also the video of the month episode, and I've been doing it for a year now, and I said I would do it for 1 year and then I would decide whether I was going to continue it or not. I don't have that many people that submit photos, but the ones I do have been very loyal and been very gracious to me. So because of that, I'm going to continue it month to month, and then we'll go from there and see what happens. So very shortly, what you're going to find is I'm going to post the people that did submit for this month. And then what I did was, because it's been a year, which at last calculations was 12 months, I did that math all by myself. After I show you the ones that were submitted, I'm going to show you the 12 of mine that I've taken throughout the year. So I'll string them all together. If you see ones with somebody's name in it, obviously that's their photo. If you see one without a name on it, the 12 in a row, those are my images from this past year. Something else that I wanted to mention in this video, yes, I'm going to give away the print. If you go back to the last 2 videos I produced, I'm going to give away a print once I get up over 1,000 subscribers. And so I have had a few people that have reached out and put their names in for the print, which is great. It's fine. But I also received a couple of emails from people who were thanking me for making the videos. And I've also had some in the past. And what I noticed was there is a common theme to a lot of them when they say thank you, and here's the reason why. And the majority of them will say because they like watching my videos because they feel like I'm trying to be authentic and be honest and just tell you what I really feel and what I really believe. And everybody knows, I fully admitted this, I'm not a technical junkie where I can explain to you why a lens looks a certain way based on its coatings and how many elements it has. I realize that they are the reasons why, or some of the reasons why, but I'm not into it scientifically enough that I can explain to you why. I just know it does. And I go more by the aesthetics, by the look of what kind of images does that lens produce. You may or may not like that same type of thing. But I know, getting back to the Voigtlander, man, the contrast for black and whites is off the charts. And the skin tones are so good with that lens. And the saturation in the colors, that's what I see. And I can't always explain, well, it's because they use this coating and it only has 5 elements instead of 6 elements, or whatever the case is. I know what I see. And also, in my past, I used to be a disc jockey on the radio part-time. I did it on weekends, overnights, that kind of thing. One of the stations isn't around any, well, it's around, they just changed they went from 104.3 to 104.5 and they changed their whole format as radio stations do. But yes, I used to be on WEAT-FM. The point is that when I went to broadcasting school, one of the things that they try to teach you is that when you open up that microphone, you don't talk to an audience, you talk to one person. And I try in some regards, even though I mention my subscribers, and I thank you all for being subscribers, and I thank you all for your comments and for your emails. I really do appreciate them. But there have been a few people that notice that I do try to talk to my audience as an individual rather than, oh my goodness, look at all these people, all 3 of you that are watching my videos. No, I do try to take some of those elements that I learned in broadcasting school and apply them to my YouTube videos. And there have been people that have noticed that. And so I thank you for that. And I thank you even if you're just watching this video. I really do appreciate my subscribers. Hopefully in the near term I'll get up over 1,000. And again, it's not, oh my goodness, because now I'm going to be a bazillionaire because I have over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. No, I know it's not going to pay a lot of money. I know that. It's just a goal. It was something I wanted to do when I started this channel. That was just one of the goals. And the other goal was to bring my audience, bring you with me, and talk about what you and I wanted to talk about. Whatever that was. Initially, I wanted to talk about my fish tank and publishing and photography. Well, I learned pretty quickly that Google and Alphabet and YouTube, or whatever you want to call them, they don't like that. They want you to stick to one topic. And so I kind of settled on photography and then would mention a few other things. And so in this one, I'm going to mention something else, because it somewhat applies to photography, but it doesn't. We'll just pretend like it does. And that is, over the past week, I've been deciding on what to do with my speakers that I listen to throughout the day. And currently I have powered speakers. I have Audio Engine powered speakers. I used to be somewhat of an audiophile, and I had a nice amplifier and an amp, preamp, and I had some nice Bang & Olufsen speakers, and then I had Bose 901s, and I've had some nice speakers throughout my time, and I've had nice amps and nice CD players, and then what happens is you start having kids that need to go to college and private school and weddings, and you don't have the money for that kind of stuff anymore. And so I've had these powered speakers for a while, and they've decided that the amplifier doesn't want to power so much anymore. And the one speaker plays at about 30% volume. And I contacted Audio Engine and they told me tips on maybe how to fix it. Didn't work. The amplifier's going bad. And so they were going to, even though it's out of warranty, they were going to send me for a small fee, not much, a new amplifier that I could just replace it myself. And I've built computers and everything, so I'm not afraid to swap out an amplifier. So they agreed to send me one. Problem is that it got back ordered for 8 weeks. So in the meantime, I was looking for, well, do I want to get away from the powered speakers? Maybe go to an amplifier, maybe get different passive speakers. And I looked at a bunch of different speakers, and I'm not saying one's better than the other. It's very hard to tell just by researching. If you can't go and hear them in person. And a tip, if you go to Crutchfield, their website, they do have some speakers where you can actually listen through your headphones, and you can hear a difference between different speakers. Obviously, it wouldn't be as good as if you're standing in front of them, but you can hear a difference. And so I did that, and I had decided on some Dolly speakers and a Cambridge amp. Now, you can't just pick any old amp to go with any old set of speakers. It doesn't work that way. Just so you know, you have to be able to match the amp to the speakers. Yeah, I know. Stop yapping at me. That crow, every time I get under this tree, he must have a nest up there or something. He's always yapping at me. The crow won't stop yapping. So I had decided on these Dolly speakers with the Cambridge amp because they were a good match. I couldn't get the Cambridge amp that I wanted because it just wasn't powerful enough. And I had still been in contact with Audio Engine about what else they could do for me. So it turns out that, and this is how it's going to get back to photography in just a second. And my last video. It turns out that Audio Engine decided that they were going to give me a very generous and deep discount if I just replaced my speakers and kept the same ones that I had. In other words, for even less than the big sale that they had not long ago, they even took that and took a discount off that, to where it became hard to pass on just replacing the speakers, because it wasn't that much more than replacing the amplifier in the one. So it made a whole lot more sense. So a shout out to Audio Engine. Even though I've been out of warranty for a while now, they still took good care of me. And that's the one thing I can say about Audio Engine. You can decide whether you like the sound that comes out of their speakers or not. Obviously I do. I think they're a wonderful speaker for what they are. You know, they're a bookshelf desktop type speaker. Now I have the A5 Plus. They have smaller ones, they have larger ones now, but those are the ones I have. So I'm not trying to tell you that those are the best speakers. I'm just telling you, for me, they work great. And so a big shout out to them, because their customer service has been excellent. I mean, I had to contact them a while back about something else, and they got right back to me and answered my question. And I can't speak highly enough about Audio Engine. They've been a wonderful company for me. So there you go. Now, how does that apply to photography? Well, it gets back to the last video when I was talking about the law of diminishing returns with the Voigtlander lens versus the Leicas. Is the Leica better? Yeah, probably. But how much better? You're spending a whole lot more money. And so if I got the Cambridge amp with the Dolly speakers, is it going to sound better than the Audio Engine? Probably, but I don't know for sure, because I can't, there isn't any dealer in town where I can go and listen to them. And so I can't definitively say yes, I can only assume. But I don't know for sure. And if so, how much better? A little bit better? Because I don't play my speakers that loud that often. And so is it really worth spending 5 times the money to get those other speakers? Probably not. So I ended up back with the Audio Engines. So that's what's been going on with me. I'm sure you're really interested. All right. So the contest is still open. Just go to my website, send me an email. First name, last initial, what part of the world you're in, what town, what state, what country, whatever. My camera doesn't want to follow so well today. And you'll be entered. There are a handful of people who have done it, and so I thank them for that. Hopefully I'll get a few more. But I do thank everybody for the emails and the comments that have come in recently. I really do appreciate it. It's very kind of you to take the time to send me an email. As far as comments, I do try to answer all of them. The only time that I don't is when they get a little rude or they're trying to promote some other website or some other product. Then I just delete them. But if it's a legitimate comment, even if you take a little shot at me, that's okay. Again, as I found out, I'm not perfect. Who knew? And so you can take a shot at me if it's reasonable. Also, when I was trying to come up with what to talk about in this video, someone suggested that I open it up for questions and answers. That's not a bad idea. I don't necessarily want to do an online stream for two reasons. One, my channel isn't big enough, and I'd probably be sitting there scratching my butt with two people watching. And second, quite honestly, I haven't figured out how to get this camera to work on my computer yet. I don't know if I have to add something to it. I've tried, it just doesn't want to work. But if you want to send in a question about photography, that maybe doesn't even have to be about photography, but I'll try to answer it in another video. If I get a whole bunch of them, I'll do one video with all the questions. If I get, one or two questions, then I'll just spread them out throughout the next couple of videos. So anyway, here's the photos of the month. Thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it. Until next time, take good care.